श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। वक्रतुण्डमहाकाय सूर्यकोटिसमप्रभा निर्विघ्नं कुरु मे देव सर्वकार्येषु सर्वदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। गुरवे सर्वलोकानां भिषजे भवरोगिणां निधे सर्वविद्यानां श्रीदक्षिणामूर्ते नमः। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। व्यासाय विष्णुरूपाय व्यासरूपाय विष्णवे नमो वै ब्रह्मणदेहे वासिष्ठाय नमो नमः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणे स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितं पुराणमुनिनां मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीमष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्बात्पामनसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते विवेद्वेषिणीं नारायणपरो व्यक्तादण्डमव्यक्तसम्भवं मण्डस्यान्तस्तु मे लोकाः सप्तद्वीपा च मेदिनीः अवतीर्णश्च कालट्या केदारेन्तरतश्चयः चतुष्पीठप्रतिष्ठाता जयताच्चिन्गुरो गृह शङ्कारूपेण मच्चित्तं पङ्कीकृतमुबोध्य किङ्किरीयससामाय शङ्कराचार्यमाश्रये. Last time we were looking at the 28th shloka, Avyaktadini Bhutani, Vyaktamadhyani Bharata, Avyakta Nidananyeva, Tatra ka Paridevana. This shloka we are looking, right? So we the meaning of this shloka is this being, all the beings remain unmanifest. So Avyakta, they remain unmanifest in the beginning, then they become manifest in the middle, and then after death, they become unmanifest again. They become Avyakta again. So for that reason, why all this lamentation with regard to them? So these beings, these bodies come, they were not there before, they come, birth, and then they live, and then they disappear. Or if you look at the everyday changes, yesterday we were like that, today different, tomorrow is another way. So it keeps changing. So why worry about this? Because this kind of attachment is not good. So in that front, we're looking at a story of a sadhu who was doing, trying to understand or experience this Atma Jnana or gain this Atma Jnana. He was doing in the austerities in the forest, and there comes a prince, and prince says that he is son of a king named Nirmoha. That means the one who does not have this moha, this delusion, this attachment, right? So, and so this sadhu want to test and wanted to see how those kingdom people are there, why they are nirmoha, because he thinks that it's impossible for someone to live in a city and town with all the people and become unattached to everything. So he goes to that city and he tells the people that the prince has been killed by a tiger, and everybody says that the people there say that it was end of his time, that's why it died. Then Sadhu thinks that yeah, the people probably are not attached to prince that much, so he goes to palace, and there he tells the doorkeepers and the servants that prince killed, and they also say that just like the old leaves, once time has come, everyone has to go. Then he goes to, okay, he also thinks, okay, these servants are not very fond of this prince. So he goes to king, thinking that father always loves his children. So he goes there and tells the king that your son, unfortunately, he died, killed by a tiger. So king says that Runanavanda Rupena Pashupatni Sutalaya Runakshiye Kshamyanti Traka Pridevana. So all these sons, wife, all this Sutta, Alaya, so all this house, everything is Runanavanda. It depends, it comes because of what we have done, because of the karmas, it comes, and it when that karma debt, whatever we carry that cleared, all this will disappear. So because of for that, why cry? And then he goes further, thinking that this father probably is not very fond of his son. So he goes further and he goes towards the prince's apartment. There he sees his assistant who used to serve that prince, and he says same thing, and that assistant also says, this world is like an earthen pot. You never know when it's going to get destroyed and become part of the soil again, earth again, right? So he says, that servant says that. Then he goes to mother, because mothers always love their children and they are most attached. So he goes and tells the same thing, but she says, idam kashtam nadya vati sangatam संयोगश्च वियोगश्च का संयोगश्च वियोगश्च का तत्र परिदेवना. So she says that idam kashtam, just like kashtam is wood, logs. So nadyam bhavati sangatam. So just like the logs floating in the river, at some point they come together, sanyoga, and then viyoga. They at some point when the wave hits, they separate. So tatra ka parividevana. So why lament for that? So yata kashtancha sameyantam mahardave sameyatyasya vipeyatam evam bhuta samagata. So just like the logs coming together and separating, no need to be happy or grieving for this, lamenting. Just like all the birds come at the end of the night to a tree, they sit there and they spend the night together, but the next morning when they have to go and search for their food, they go all in their own directions, right? So they're not waiting for another bird to come with them or things like that. They go on their own direction, just like that. And just like these logs coming together in the river, she says that tatra ka paridevana. So why lament for that? So she is also not attached. Then these are the things. Okay, let's go and tell this wife of this prince. She must be very much attached. If nobody cares about him and not attached, the wife must be. So because there's a young prince and she is also young, so they must be, she must be. And he goes and tells her that your husband died, killed by a tiger in the forest. And she says that maybe in some life I may have left him as a husband, and when we come together and separation, so that's why he probably left now. When we came together, the separation was also decided at the same time. So when some people come together, you have to separate at some point. So that's decided as well. So normally it is said that it's difficult to say it, but when somebody is born and a child is born in a house, it also means there is one more death. There is going to be one more death in that house, right? So it is the same thing here. The wife says that when something come together, the separation is also decided. At some point, it has to be separated because it's not going to be together forever. So that's what she says. Then the sadhu thinks, okay, from the citizens of this city to the doorkeepers or the servants or the king or the mother or the wife or everyone, they do not have any attachment. They all do not lament because of this prince's death. So they all think that this life is temporary. So Sadhu thinks that why I'm going to forest, because Sadhu went to forest because he did not want any attachment. He thinks that these people living their life like this, real life without attachment. So that's why they don't have any lamentations, right? So similarly, Sadhu thinks like that. Similarly, here Krishna also says, why Paridevana, Avyakta Nidhananneva Tatraka Paridevana. Why lament with all these attachments when someone gets birth and then lives, it was not there before, and then comes to existence, and then after death disappears again. So for that, why lament for that? So Krishna also says, so have that detachment. So only Atma is the one that's permanent, as we looked up in the previous shlokas. So this body is not. So that's why Tatraka Paridevana, Krishna says. Now, Krishna says that this Atma that currently discussed in these shlokas from the 11th shloka onwards is very inscrutable. So it's very incomprehensible. It's very difficult to understand. And that's why he thinks that why I should blame you alone regarding this regarding a thing that is a source of delusion and all. So why I should blame you? Because this is very difficult to understand. So now the question is why it is very difficult to understand. So that he says that in the next shloka. So Krishna explains that why this is very difficult to understand in the next shloka when he says Ascharyavat Pashyati. In the 29th shloka, he says Ascharyavat Pashyati Kaschidena Kaschidena Mascharyavat Vadati Tathaiva Chanyah Vacchaina Manyah Shrunoti Shrutvapenam Vedana Chaiva Kaschit. So someone visualizes it, that is the ātma vastu, as a wonder, and similarly, indeed someone else talks this ātma vastu as a wonder, and someone else hears it as a wonder, and someone else indeed does not realize even after hearing about it. So that's the little meaning of this shloka. So now, if you look at word by word, Ascharyavat is amazing, as wonder, as a wonder. Paschati means sees. Kaschit means someone. Enam is this, that is this Atma, Atmavastu. Ascharyavat again is wonder. Vadati means speak of. Tatha means thus. Eva means indeed. Cha is and. Anya means other. Again, Ascharyavat is similarly amazing. And Cha means also. Enam is this. Anya means others. Shrunoti means hear. Shrutva means having heard. Api enam means even this Atma. Veda, understand. Na means not. Cha is and. Eva is even. Kaschit is someone. So if we look at the details a little bit more on this shloka. So Ascharyavat, Ascharyam Adrishtapurvam Adbhutam Akasmad Drishyamanam Tena Tulyam Ascharyavat. So Ascharyamitī Yenam Atmanam Pashyati Kaschit. So here Shankaracharya says Kaschit Pashyati, someone visualizes Yenam, this Atma again. So if you look at till now, Krishna was saying tat, okay, that. Okay, now he says this. So he's probably saying that Atma, this Atma. Okay, so he says now Enam, he's using it, okay, to refer to that Atma vastu. So he says Enam Ascharyavat, as a wonder. So someone visualizes this Atma vastu as a wonder, as though it were a wonder. So here the wonder or the amazing thing is something not seen before, or something strange, or something seen on all of a sudden. Okay, what is, so such a thing is comparable to that is Ascharyavat. So Shankaracharya says here Ascharyam Adrishtapurvam Adbhutam Akasmad Drishyamanam. So it comes as a all of a sudden. Adbhutam, it is a strange thing. And Adrishtapurvam, so it is again not seen something before, it is very strange. So such a thing, okay, Tena Tulyam Ascharyavat. Such a thing, what you can compare to that, so which is not seen before, something very strange and comes all of a sudden, that is Ascharyavat. So why it is Ascharyavat? Because why it is a wonder, Atmavastu, why it is a wonder, we looked at in the previous shlokas, right? It is Sarva Vikara Rahita. So it is does not go through any changes. It is changeless, right? But due to upadhis or the conditions, we see this as changing, but Atmavastu does not change. So that's why it is a wonder. And then it is Nitya. It is ever present. It is permanent, right? But even though it looks like it is anitya, it is going to end, right? So when the death comes or when something gets destroyed, it looks like it's the end. But Atmavastu is not like that. It is a permanent thing. It is forever. That's why it is nitya. So first one is, even though atma vastu is changeless, it looks like it is changing, right? The second one, even though it is not permanent, it looks like, sorry, even though it is permanent, it looks like it is not permanent, right? And then the third one is, even though atma vastu is always chaitanya, self effulgence, okay, it never seen like that. It's seen as a darkness. Okay, we never see it, right? So even though it is Satit Chaitanya, Sada Prakashamana, so it is always Prakasha, it is always shy effulgence, having effulgence. So we never see it. So that's why we say it as a we see it as a darkness, right? So that's why it is Ascharya. So even though it is such a bright thing that we don't see it, okay? So that's why it is a wonder. So one example why we say this is Atmos, even though is bright, is for example, you're sitting in a room and the light goes, okay, and it becomes everything dark. And then someone calls you, where are you? Okay. And you are going to say, I'm in this room, I'm sitting here, or whatever, right? You're not going to say, I don't know where I am now because it's entirely dark, right? So where you are, that is still known to you. That's known through that Chaitanya. And then the second one, the next one, why it is a wonder is Dvaita. Because even though Atma Vastu, Atma in every Jiva, every body is the same as the Brahma Vastu, Paramatma, still we see that as a different thing. We still see us as a, I'm different from Brahma, Paramatma. That's what we see, right? So that's why it's uh, it's a wonder. Uh, it's like you have a room and you put multiple walls in it, so then you become multiple rooms in it. Similarly, Atma, when is seen in this body and so on, it is seen as a different thing because of those conditions. Okay, so we see this body as different, but we see this Atmos as a body, not as a Atma itself. That's why it is seen as a different to Brahmavastu. But the Jnani realizes Atma in him is same as Paramatma, Brahmavastu. And then Atmavastu is a wonder because it Advitiya. There is no second to it, but we see it multiples. Normally, we all see it as a multiples, right? So even though there is no second to it, it's all same. All the Atmavastus, everyone has the same Atmavastu, that's same as Paramatma. We see it as multiples. So one example here given is a guru takes his disciples to river bank, and the river was flowing very fast among the stones and rocks, and it was forming a lot of bubbles while it was passing through, the stream was passing through that rocks. So the guru asks his disciples to look at the bubbles coming from that water flow. They're all in different sizes and shapes and forms and whatever. And disciples, the Shishyas, look at that and they all agree, all of them are different. And while watching, the bubbles that's coming from that water, they all disappear, they become water again. And the Guru says that the bubbles are same as the water, but we see it as different forms and shapes, and we do not see its root, Mula Karana, we do not see, which is the water. So that's what here as well. Even though Atma Vastu is same, we see it in different forms because of the upadhis, because of the conditions or the bodies or the existence we see it in. Similarly, if you say, for example, earth, okay, so it's the same earth, but we see it as call it as a mountain or a hill or a valley or whatever, right? Wherever you go, Mula Vastu, the root, Mula Karana, the Vastu here is earth. It is the same. So that's why we do not see it. We see it as a mountain, we see it as a hill or a valley or whatever it is we see, right? So that's why we see this Advitiya Tattva, this unique second, no second, such a Tattva, we see it as a Dvaita. We see it as in multiples. Okay, we see it as two or more multiples. So that's why it is Ascharyavat. So these are the 6 reasons where we see something, the Atma Vastu, as Ascharya, with wonder. Why is that? One is it is Vikara, changeless, but we see the change. Second one is Nitya, but we see it as not permanent. And the other one is Prakashamana Chaitanya, but we still let it in darkness. Another one is Dvaita. We see it as a Atmavastu, Brahmavastu as different. And then the last one is Advitiya, right? So even though there is no second, we see it as a multiples, right? So we see it as a Sadvitiya. So that's why Atmavastu, because of these 6 reasons, it becomes a wonder to it. So why it is like this? Why we experience like that? Why we see it as a multiples, or why we don't experience like that? Again, Bhagavan, why we don't see it as a Nitya? Why we don't see it as a Advitiya? Why we don't see it as a same as Brahmavastu? Okay, why we see still bodies or the whatever the form we see as the truth? Why we see that? Because Bhagavan again in later in Gita he says that even one among millions and millions tries to know me, and only one among them sees me. And he sees me Ascharyavat. He sees me in surprise. Okay, so such a jnani who realizes that Atma, Atmavastu, as same as Brahmavastu, such a jnani, he is not going to describe this. Okay, so finding such a person is difficult. Even when we find that person is probably not interested in describing all these things to somebody who is very much attached to the worldly pleasures like us. So that's why it is Ascharyavat. Bhagavan says that not everybody is going to just like that realize this Atmavastu. Again, so that's why it is very difficult to know. Even today, right? So if you look at it, even to make that journey, to start that journey, it is not many take up that as an option, right? Even in among regular, even in among Hindus. So if you look at today, how many actually make an effort to understand what our Shastras are saying? How many actually really put effort to do that? So it is very not many, right? So that's why Bhagavan says that even that millions and millions, there is probably only one who uh, tries to know me, and then among them, only one sees me or realizes me, right? Even if we take this Gita sessions itself, right? So the message probably reached out to many hundreds, and probably we had about 100 people interested in this sessions joining. About 20 or so people joined the group, and then about 3 or 5 joined the sessions, and then maybe 1 or 2 regularly join among them, right? So it is again the uh, it's again, so the people who interested in these kind of things is very difficult, very rare. That's what Bhagavan says later on, and that's why this Atmavastu is Ascharyavat. It is very difficult. It is a wonder to many. So then, and similarly, this someone else, Vadati, someone else also talks it as a wonder. Right? So again, as I said earlier, Jnani who realizes this Atmavastu will not speak normally, right? Because Jnani will not come down to this worldly things we are attached to. He will not come down to this level and explain us. We are not making an effort to go to his level, right? So we don't go to that level, he won't come down. That's why this discussion will not happen. So again, normally the person who has realized this kind of Atmavastu and Jnani, such a person moves away from this kind of people. Like anyone attached to this worldly things, he moves away. And he, even if he explains that those kind of things, we don't understand what he is saying. That's what Bhagavan says here in the next part of this shloka. Even when someone hears, it don't understand it. So Jnana is, for example, there is a Sri Chandrasekhara Bharati Swami, Sringeri Jagadguru, 34th Sringeri. So he used to spend lot of his time in meditation. Sometimes days he would not come out of his room in meditation. He used to sit there without any food or anything. So he used to just sit there and meditate. So when he is in that state, he used to spend a lot of time like that. And then normally Sringeri Shankara, so a lot of devotees go there for Guru Darshana. They go there to see Guru. And they could not see Guru because Swamiji was always in his meditation. So once he sits there, he used to spend days and days. So then Mata officials, one time, they went and requested the Guru to grace all the devotees and be available as much as possible so that the devotees travel from lot of distance and things like that. They explained why devotees come and things like that. Guru apparently told those Mata officials that people come here asking for things like my son is not doing well in study, or my wife is my child is not getting married, or do not have children, grandchildren, or these kind of problems. For that, what can I offer them, right? So his whatever Swamiji is to say, those things, the jnana was, nobody goes there seeking those kind of things. So that's why those people, who, even if someone hears it, they will look at it as a when jnani people, they normally don't speak of these things. Even one who realizes this, they will not speak of this. So again, it is very difficult to find such jnanis as well these days. And again, if most people today, whoever you see, is you probably will not see anyone saying that I will teach Atma Jnana, right? I will teach you how to realize Paramatma. I will teach you how to realize the Atma within you. I will make you experience that. There is no such a thing saying that Atma experience. Okay, so there is no tickets on. Fortunately, nobody has started selling those kind of things at this moment. So because it is not possible to make that experience, right? So even when we look at, for example, in Udyava Parva, we looked at, right? So Mahabharata stories, when Sanat Sujata comes and explains the Atmavastu to Dhritarashtra, he explains the path, how to go there. Similarly, what Bhagavad Gita also does here, right? So it explains what that Atmavastu is and the path to that Atmavastu, how to acquire that jnana. The travel, the journey, one has to make. Okay, so there is the path that's shown here. And that's why it is, even those jnanis, they will not speak of it. And that's what Bhagavan also says here. And someone else, shrunoti, someone hears it as a wonder. So someone indeed someone does not realize it even after hearing. Na Veda api Shrutva. Even after hearing it, they will not understand it, because seeing and speaking, even after hearing about it, even after seeing it or speaking about it, they will not understand it. So someone else, so Bhagavan says that someone else hears it as a wonder, someone else, even after hearing or seeing or speaking about it, they will not realize it. So it is such a Ascharyavat. So even Bhagavad Gita, if we take an example, Krishna said this, and then Bhagavad Gita Bhashya, Shankaracharya wrote Bhagavad Gita Bhashya. Still, we don't understand it, and even after that, Shankara Bhagavad Pada, many Shankaracharya, after Shankaracharya, many people wrote Bhashyas or explanations and details. Even today, there are a lot of people writing the explanations to different ways of this Bhagavad Gita, right? Still, we don't understand it. Still, we struggle to understand what ātma vastu is, right? So that's why it's very difficult. So Krishna says that it is Ascharyavat, it is a wonder. Atma vastu is a wonder. Everyone looks at it as a wonder. Everyone hears it as a wonder. Everyone speaks it as a wonder. So if that's the case, if it's so difficult, why should we listen? Right? The question comes to mind, why should we listen? The reason is, even after listening a day-long pravachana or a Vedanta topic on something about something, let's say sugar or milk or whatever, right? So we talk about, so somebody, let's say someone gives a lecture for a day, entire day you listen to a lecture about milk. He describes the milk, he describes the taste, he does know how it is, how thick it is, how all these descriptions and how tasty it is and all those things. So that's what these Vedanta pravachanas are about. So we listen to them, and then it kind of comes in our mind that I want to taste it, I want to experience it, right? So Vedanta Vichara, Vedanta subject is like that. So after listening continuously about the same thing, we are drawn towards it, and then either in this birth or in the next birth or in the future births, we will, if that effort continues, then one can experience it. So then that's the path to moksha, right? So that's why this Vedanta Vichara, even though it is very difficult to understand, one should continuously make an effort, and then at some point it will lead to that realization. So again, when we hear about this, we look at why it is so difficult then, why it is so difficult to understand this Atma Vastu. If I look at the Sri Sureshwaracharya, who is a disciple of Shishya of Sri Shankaracharya himself, first guru of Sringeri Sharada Pita, Sri Sureshwaracharya, he says that there are three types of pratibandhakas, challenges, when we go on a journey to listen or read or something about Vedantas towards in this path, right? So there are three types of obstacles, pratibandhakas that comes. One, he says, is bhuta pratibandha. So that is when we are listening to something. So all whatever that's previously heard will come to our mind, and somebody is saying, then it will come to our mind and it will distract us, it should disturb our listening. So that is bhuta pratibandha. Whatever that happened in our life or whatever we heard previously, all those things comes, and when someone is saying something, it will disturb. And the second one is bhavi pratibandha. We start thinking what is going to happen in future. So if we say that we realize this atma, and let's say renunciation and all those things, let's say I'm talking and suddenly your mind goes there and it starts thinking, okay, if I renounce all this, what's going to happen to my house, what's going to happen to my son or children and all those things. So that starts thinking about the future. So that's bhavi pratibandha. So what's going, and then the third one is vartamana pratibandha. Vartamana pratibandha is the current, okay, whatever that's happening. Here, he gives Sureshwaracharya, he gives four types of things. One is Vishaya Sakti. So that means interest in the things. Like, for example, when somebody is giving a lecture or pravachana or something, you will be doing something else. Okay, you'll be looking at phone. For example, I was expecting a phone call or a message from my wife saying that she reached home safely. Whether she reached or not, we're looking at the phone. Or somebody, I got this little bit of food, crisp packet or whatever, let me eat while he's talking about it. this lecture on Vedanta, right? This ātma, so let me just eat it. Or there is a cooker going, while this Gita class is going on, let me cook the dinner for tonight, right? So all these things, Vishayasakti. And then the second one is Manda Buddhi, so which is dull-wittedness. So it is, you just can't grasp the subject. Then the next one is Kutarka Buddhi. Kutarka is challenging mind. So when you hear something, you always want justification, explanation why it is. Okay. So you always want it. So these days we see what is the scientific explanation, why we are doing this. Anything you say Shastras, people say why it is, what is the scientific explanation? As if science knew everything 500 years ago or 800 years ago. Whatever science we say today probably will be wrong tomorrow because science keeps changing, right? Shastras don't change. Shastras, whatever that said in thousands of years ago, still says the same thing. So it's kutarka buddhi. It's always challenging. Okay, so one thing important when we go on a Vedanta journey is first we have to believe. Science, first you have to prove, then you believe. But in Vedanta, first you trust, believe, and then you learn. Okay, then you learn about it, what it says. So that's why in Vedanta, Kutarka Buddhi is a obstacle. So in Vartamana, and currently when we are listening, that Kutarka Buddhi, that challenging mind is obstacle. And the next one is Viparita Buddhi. Viparita Buddhi is absurd meanings or understandings. Okay. So if we give an example, Vidwan Ganesh Bhatt gives a good example in his explanations to this shloka. He says that there is a shloka, Vyasaya Vishnu Rupaya, Vyasa Rupaya Vishnu, right? So absurd understanding of that is, for example, saying Vyasa gave Vishnu 1 rupee and Vyasa asked for that 1 rupee from Vishnu. Vishnu said Vishnu is not going to give 1 rupee, right? So that's the meaning. It's a completely different meaning, right? So absurd understanding. So Vyasa Vishnu Rupaya, Vyasa Rupaya Vishnu is Vyasa is Vishnu's form and Vishnu is Vyasa's roop, right? Form. That's why that's the meaning, real meaning, true meaning. But we understand it as a Vyasa gave 1 rupee, right? So that's a completely wrong meaning and wrong understanding. So similarly, I heard recently someone saying very recently that Vedas, for example, this is a very recent example. Vedas are for Brahmanas as a exchange currency. Okay, Brahmanas use Vedas as an exchange currency with gods. They do sacrifices with those Vedas and they ask for wealth or happiness and all those kind of things in exchange. Okay, someone said this recently in a pravachana. So it is like that. So that's a viparita artha. So understanding those kind of absurd. So that's again part of the Vartamana Pratibandha. So these are type of obstacles that come. That's what Sri Sureshwara Acharya says. So that's why it is very difficult to understand this Atma Vastu or listen or see or hear anything about Atma Vastu is very difficult. That's why it is uh, said as Atma Vastu is a wonder. People see it as, hear it as a wonder. We will continue this discussion of this shloka again next time when we gather. So again, we'll look at why this Atma Vastu, how then to realize, and those kind of things. We will look at that next time. We'll stop today there.